Welcome to Life Picks Relationships, helping you understand and enliven your marriage through the various perspectives and experiences of others who found a way to prioritize what's really important in life. From new love to those that have weathered the storms, let's get ready to take your relationships to the next level with your host, ST.
Hey, Life Picksers, hope you're having an awesome day. Are you ready to better understand yourself, your partner, and your marriage? Oh yeah, we will today. We've got a conscious relationship coach who helps women heal from trauma and find their soulmate together with her fiance. Well, thank you so much, Brianna and Jay, for being here. I'm super excited to be speaking with you. You want to start by telling us how you guys met?
Yeah, for sure. I'm assuming it's probably really similar to a lot of people who have newly gotten into relationships during COVID. We met online.
Yeah.
He actually found me.
Yeah, on a dating app, and I was planning to go on Los Angeles for a week. Then I set up my dating app and location for Los Angeles, of course. And we met the second day that was there, and we hang out
every single day.
Mostly every single day.
Every single day. Okay, so one day without you, and the rest of it was the two of you together.
Yeah, and we just hit it off, and then we did long distance for a while because he's originally from Montreal, and I was living in LA at the time, so we did long distance, but. Clearly it worked out.
Yeah.
So tell me first, let's start. You're born in Montreal. You were there the whole time?
Born and raised in Montreal. So when I met her, I was still living in Montreal. So as she said, we did 1 year relationship, long distance, a year and a half, maybe not a year.
No, a year.
And then we moved out together in Toronto.
Yeah.
And what was that like? Tell us a little bit about your relationship, long distance. What were the challenges, and how were you actually able to go and pull through it and get to where you are now?
Yeah, I think we both were at a space in our life where we had done a lot of work on ourselves. And so we were able to be really transparent with each other, where each person was at. This is funny. I don't know if we've been asked this question before. This is a great question. I know I for sure was very clear upon what I was looking for, and just the way that he showed up in the relationship, I felt really comfortable with him. And how we were able to manage it is Jay really, you'll have to answer this question and give more insight on it, but he just he texted me and called me and was just really consistent all the time. And so I never really felt that I felt out of sight, out of mind. I had worked on my own insecurities and my own trust issues, because that comes up a lot for long distance couples. It triggers you, right? You can't be with them. You don't know what they're doing. But because I had that going on for myself, and because of how Jay was, I always felt like I was a priority in his life in terms of communication.
Yeah, I would say that long distance relationship, I would say it was in two part. Before COVID, let's say, it's crazy because when I met her, I didn't want to have I wasn't planning to be engaging myself in a relationship, especially with a girl who's living in Los Angeles. Yeah. But I was, as she said, I did a lot of work on myself, and I was aware. I knew what type of girl I would like to have in my life. So it happened, and then I was in a headspace.
Hold on, I'm going to interrupt you on that. Did you always have that really clear?
I don't know. I think when we say clear, it depends of, I think, every person. But for me, it was clear at the point where the way the person's going to talk, the intelligence about life,
the emotional intelligence.
Yeah, emotional intelligence. That's the word exactly.
I know. I can see him when he's struggling for the word.
Open-minded, yeah. All these little details that it wasn't clear about job type, about physics or stuff like that.
About the stuff that really matter, the values, the moral, how they view the world, and things like that. Yeah. Right. Yeah. You're not going to only look for a doctor or someone cutting yourself off on so much, but how the person treats you, how they stand for themselves. You need that for your relationship, for your life. If you don't have that, want different things, that relationship's just not going to work.
I always say to clients, because, I'm a relationship coach, I always say to clients, it's like, pay attention to how you feel when you're around them. If you feel really at ease, if you feel comfortable, if you can feel like you're yourself, and, you can tell somebody, like our first date, we really went there. Our first date wasn't just like, oh, let's meet, even though there was obviously the first time jitters, nerves. We ended up going to like 3 different restaurants. Yeah. Like we first met for, I was like, I'll give him a glass of wine, right? So we went to like the Soho House in West Hollywood. And
it's smart. I love that.
Yeah. For me, yeah. And then I was like, I had an exit strategy. Yeah. But then he was so cool. So then we went here and we went there. And through the course of like the however many hours we were together on this first date, we really shared and talked a lot about our intimate family dynamics, and like, that for me let me know, like, wow, this man is very emotionally intelligent and able to be vulnerable and knew how to speak about things. So that's what like really drew me close to him, and we just like hit it off the bat.
Oh my God, I love that. So I want to get back to what you were saying, Jay, but Brianna obviously seems that you're really emotionally intelligent, and from like the few minutes that I've spoken to you, it really seems like it. Was that something that you really had to like work on? Was it something that your parents put in you? Like, how did you get that skill?
I worked it by myself. It didn't came from my parents because it's the opposite. So, well, actually it helped me, because it's like the yin and the yang. Like, because of how my parents were, I've learned that the positive way, exactly, right? So I just learned, and when I had that type of like girl I wanted to have in my life, I was smart enough to understand some things I had to work on myself. Like, I understand that I cannot have this type of person in my life if I'm not the guy that this type of girl
would want to be with.
Exactly. So I work it by myself.
Makes sense. Like, that's what they say, like, challenges after is go and like make you cut better. So not that we want them, but when they come, we make the most of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so back to what you were saying about your long distance relationship.
Yeah, so, and I was in a headspace too that I was aware in life, when you want something, you just have to work on that. So, and I was like, well, I had a good time with her. I was in Montreal, and seriously, like...
What's there?
She was the girl that... No, but like, I mean, she was the girl that I wanted to talk to. So I was like, well, the least I can do is text, call her every day, see what's going on. So, and then after, I think approximately a month that we were talking like every day, like, well, Jay, like...
But can I interrupt too?
Yeah.
Because it also wasn't that like I felt any pressure from him.
Yeah.
Like if I was out and busy and was going and doing my own thing and didn't call him back, there was never this like, why didn't you call me back? And like, where were you? There was no insecurity on his part or control. I just really felt like this is great. Like he was always just being really sweet and kind about the reach out. There wasn't an expectation attached to it.
I wasn't controlling. It was just like, hey, I'm there. Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up today?
I'm here when you need me, but I'm not here to push on to you. And like, yeah.
Sometimes we could have a full day without any solid conversation. Seriously, like it was happening sometimes.
Yeah, just like he would just a text message like, hey, hope you have a nice day. And then that would be it. So it just felt very organic and it felt really easy. Like it just felt easy. There wasn't a bunch of like drama besides like the physical distance of being hard,
So what would you recommend someone from your professional background, like your professional experience, to really go and build that secure? And most listeners here are married already and they don't have to like worry so much about this, but just in general, like their spouses are speaking to other people that they think that maybe they shouldn't for some reason, or they go away on a business trip or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2-part, right? So if there's never been any signs of infidelity or the trust hasn't been broken, because that is something that's totally separate. So let's talk about people who don't have, I'll talk about that later. But let's say for hypothetical reasons, like he or she has never given you a cause to question them, but you still feel this way. Let's talk about that dynamic. So I always say that if it's hysterical, it's historical, meaning like, if you're having a really strong reaction to somebody doing something or saying something, like it triggers a really strong emotional response in you, it usually is a pretty good sign that it's a very old feeling, meaning that the person who is right in front of you is actually not the person that like it's coming from. It's within you. It has happened from your childhood, from a parent figure, maybe an old relationship. So kind of having that self-awareness to be like, whoa, I'm feeling very emotionally charged right now. Like, they're telling me that, you know, they're just on a work trip and it's nothing to worry about, and they haven't given me any reason to doubt them. This is clearly something that I need to, you know, to work on. So if that answers your question, like, it's having that self-awareness about yourself and the self-accountability of like, oh, this is probably a me thing that I need to
And
work
then once you have that feeling, like you have that self-awareness, which is the first step to everything, then what do you have like any specific tips or like exercises someone could do to really begin working on that?
Yeah, like sometimes what happens when we feel really triggered, right, is we want to be anywhere outside of like where we're at emotionally. So oftentimes I find with clients is they pick up the phone and they want to like get a reaction out of somebody, or they start like spiral texting or like blowing up someone's phone. And I just say the best thing to do is like, just put your freaking phone down, step away from the phone and go for a walk, go outside, try to do something, because when you're feeling really triggered or really anxious or, you know, activated, you kind of have this like high fight or flight anxiety type of thing that happens. So the best thing that you can do in those moments is just like take a breath, go walk outside, step away from the phone and do something that feels very grounding so you can get back into your safe body. Because when we're feeling activated, we feel very afraid. We don't feel safe anymore. So do something, whether it's like I said, you know, doing an activity that you love, maybe it's like an artistic outlet, painting, going for a walk, something that's going to calm you down and get you really grounded and out of that super heightened mental space.
Yeah, it comes out of your body and into whatever action you're doing. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so that's for that. And then for someone who does have a past of something, then the answer is going to be a little bit different because they have a real reason to actually worry.
Yeah. So, I mean, that in that case, like the answer is always kind of like, cleaning up your side of the street, right? Like, why are you, you know, attracted to somebody or choosing to be in a relationship with someone if you can't build the trust? Because for me, at the end of the day, once the trust is gone in a relationship, I find that it's really, really hard to rebuild. And oftentimes, obviously, I can't speak for every relationship because there's so many extenuating circumstances and this, that, and the other. But if you're really honest with yourself, a non-negotiable in a relationship should be respect and trust, you know? And if you don't have those, then there probably are some serious considerations whether this is a right relationship for you to be in, because everybody deserves to feel safe in a relationship, you know?
Yeah, without respect and trust, you can't
really
have a relationship. Like, what are you building on?
It might be a really uncomfortable conversation to have with yourself or your partner, but like you said, how can you build off of something if that's not there? So definitely an important conversation to have with yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So after you moved in, how did your relationship change? Like, you're going from this long distance, not really seeing each other, to spending 24/7 together.
Yeah, it's really a kind of a relationship that is out of ordinary, seriously, because we did the extreme. Long distance relationship to COVID lockdown. But lucky us, we spent like a month together, a month and a half, where I was in LA with her. So
I thought you were there for a week.
Yeah, but
the first time we saw each other in between, you know, wasn't
until COVID hit. You saw each other in between. Okay,
back and forth.
I would say for the 1 year time frame, I think 6 months we were like without COVID, and then COVID hit. So we did like that. So yeah, literally. Well, we're both strong and smart people. Like, we make it like very easy for us. Like, seriously, I'm proud of ourselves because we learn each other, seriously. Like, it would be a lie if I say that it was easy all like every day. I think it would be impossible for every couple who was living through COVID.
Yeah.
But we just learn each other how to deal with that. And is the strength of our couple, because we always just try to get things better when there's issues or when there's some things going wrong or something that we don't like. We always try to get it right. So we make it.
So you never like push anything away. Like if there's ever a problem, you're going to go and actually go and solve it.
Yeah, we both want to solve it.
Yeah.
Always. And sometimes she might understand something I don't understand. Sometimes I might understand something that she doesn't understand. But at the end of the day, we're going to, at some point, we'll have a discussion until that we find at least a solution, or at least that we can make the other person understand the thing that has to be understood.
Yeah, I mean, I will say one thing that was, I think, hard for us was like language barrier.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Communication styles, right? Because English is his second language, and I don't really speak that much French. And so sometimes, like, you know, as you're trying to work through stuff and you're together all the time and it's just everything's compounded and they're your whole person, like you're naturally going to get irritated, right? Like,
and what is harder that when you get, most of the time when you're in a debate, you're emotional. The language it gets harder. So that's,
yeah. And so
step.
One of the things, like tools that we use is like ding, 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 time out. So, and we can see when the other person is getting activated, right? So like I can tell as my partner when he's really emotional and he's struggling to get the words out, and I can just see him having a hard time, rather than seeing that as an opportunity to like, I got you and I'm going to be right. I have compassion for him that I'm like, oh, he's struggling right now and he's feeling really frustrated. So I, as the calmer one,
right now in this discussion, that's what it is.
It might flip-flop a couple of times. So both of us are really respectful of seeing the other person and are very compassionate and kind. And we'll be like, okay, let's just take a breather. Maybe we'll take a 5-minute walk, because we know if things start anteing up and get to a really heightened emotional space, you just have two people who are really defensive, who might say things that they don't mean in the heat of the moment. So before it ever antes up and amplifies, we like woo-saw it, and we'll be like, okay, let's just take a drink of water and just kind of interrupt the flow. And I'll say, like, take a moment, gather your thoughts. And then, because communication is so important, right? So that's one of the things that we will do that I think is really helpful.
Yeah.
And is that something that like you brought in because of like you being a relationship coach? Like, does that affect your relationship?
Yeah, in the best way, don't you think?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah? Do you like it that like she always knows everything? Not that she knows everything. I don't mean it like in a big shot way, but like works with people in relationships all day. And this is what she spends her time in. And then like all of a sudden she's coming and bringing her whole work, her whole like what she knows into your relationship. Does that like, how does that make you feel?
Seriously, I don't feel that kind of always being like analyzed or that type of way. For me, it's fun. It's fun because she understands all the deep emotional thoughts that I can have, and it's not every girl will be able to understand this deep emotional like thoughts. So for me, it's just more fun. It's easier. That's what I would say.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect by any means, right? Like,
you still don't even look the type to like try to be perfect, you know, like those therapists who think they know everything and like don't step on me.
I'm real authentic. Like, we're all a mess, right? We're all imperfect. It's just that I have a wheelhouse of tools to bring to the situation. Does that mean I execute them perfectly all the time? No, like who does, right? But it's more so that like we have like all of these things in our toolkit that we can like reach on. And I think I'm very mindful of not being a know-it-all, because that is probably one of my unhealthy or unhealed kind of personality types when I was younger, that I used to have that about myself. And then as you grow up, you're like, ooh, that's not so attractive. So I'm very mindful to not come across like that like, you know, and use my relationship coach title as like, well, you need to listen to me and I know what I'm talking about. Like, this is a partnership and he is no pushover. Just because I, you know, talk a lot and about relationships, he is a strong, independent, unique, divine being who has his own perspective on stuff. And so I have to respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you ever like come in with like an advice or something, a tool or something? You're like, I think we should be trying this. And Jay, you'll go and say like, actually, no, I don't think that we should do that. Or it has never happened.
It's really rare that I'm going to say no to something I don't get, because I'm really open-minded that I'm not right.
You both just love to learn and love to grow. So like whichever one's going to think of something, like, let's try it.
Open to a new way of doing something.
That's the roots of communication, I think, because it's like the language that two people like are speaking. It's not just about language like English, French. I mean, like the way you say words and the way you're thinking it is all different. So no, if you're going to say something that for me like doesn't make sense, I will just like, elaborate or explain something, because I don't see it that way, and I'm just gonna tell her the way I see it. Yeah, and I'm gonna build on that.
It's a collaboration.
Yeah. Now you could tell you guys are really worked on people. How has your past, your childhood, like your previous years until you got into your relationship together affected your relationship?
Ooh, you go first.
That's a good question. Oh my God! In 1 minute, I've got a lot of stuff that happened that made me who I am today, I would say. It started when I grew up, like my parents come from Haiti, and I was born like maybe a year after they moved in Canada, in Montreal. My parents are together. I wasn't that close with my dad, so I didn't have that close relationship with my father. I had a half brother, and at the age of 9, I got sexually molested by him at 9 years old. So I started to talk with him. I didn't say a word to my parents since 2 years ago. I discovered I had a sister like 3 years ago too. Nobody in the family was aware about that, so I just got that bomb, and I had to figure it out to almost a year to don't make a bomb in my family, you know. So the story about my half brother, I had to wrap my mind like for a year to tell that story to my mom, because she didn't know. I never like told it to my mom. So many things like happened that just built me to say, wow, okay, I realized how much family trauma can affect the way you are. And seriously, it took me like 30 years to understand how this affected my past relationships. Like, clearly.
Yeah, and if I
so your past relationships like weren't so good, or
they were not bad, but
not like now.
No, it's not all my fault. I would say like 50 of them are clearly because of me and because of who I was. Like clearly, yeah.
There's also a reason why you were attracted to certain type of people. So even if it was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what would you say? Obviously, it's like a lifetime of work and a lifetime of thing. But what would you say was like some of the biggest things that actually helped you? Was it like therapy? Was it a certain mindset? What was like one thing that really had a major effect?
I really had to be on the rock bottom, seriously, to realize like that before I started to think about changing myself, I was like in a rock bottom, like nothing in my apartment, no money, no, like really, really deep. And I just made the huge puzzle of my life and tried to see all the things that wasn't going well. And relationship was one of them. And then I just analyzed why, and I went back to my family trauma and everything. And then what helped me, seriously, I took a year for myself. Like I disconnect for like 11 months from social. And it's part of my tool for work. I just disconnect Facebook, IG. I was mostly always on mute on my phone. Well, still as today, but well, I was mute on my phone. I was talking to only like 2-3 people and my mom. I just disconnected. And it was an everyday trying to get deeper into
working on yourself. Yeah.
Every day. Like when I was stuck on something, why did that happen in my life? I just tried to dig. And this is that 1 year work that what happened is that it shows me that, for example, I had to tell the story about my half brother to my mom, stuff like this. So all these things come up, and work I have to do on myself too.
Oh yeah. What about you, Brianna?
It's like for I'm writing a book on that actually. So
cool. When's that going to be ready?
By the end of the summer. It's
maybe just when this is coming out. Just let us know so we could let people know about it.
Yeah.
Do you have a title for it already?
Rise of the Jay Tillman.
Ooh.
Like Jay, like his first name, but like
yeah.
Yeah, that's cute.
That is cute.
Okay, for me, well, I, like everybody, right? We all have a story. I was raised in a very strict religious upbringing, almost kind of like cult-like, I would say. Lots of shame and fear, and I had a lot of like religious trauma from it. And of course, those kinds of experiences shape you and make you stronger. So like I was like excommunicated from the church at like 18 years old. And so meaning that like no one would speak to me. So I was like an 18-year-old girl and like half of my family wouldn't speak to me anymore. I had no friends and I literally had to kind of like start over. And so that kind of like affected me. I had a lot of growing up, a lot of abandonment issues, which showed up in my relationships.
Were your parents married or like
yes.
got divorced? Okay.
We're married. So I have other siblings from the same parents. But my mom had like a mental breakdown when I was about 8 or 9 years old, just from the pressure of the religion and just being really unhappy. My dad was really emotionally abusive to her. And so she left the family and like my mom's from England. And so I lived in California. My mom and my dad got divorced. And because of the religious dynamic, my mom was like the black sheep, right? She had left the family and left me and my other siblings with my dad to be raised in the religion. And so there was this kind of like othering to my mom, making my mom this evil person who was like lost, right? Satan, the devil had gotten her and I wasn't supposed to be close to her. So they really did a number on my ability to like, trust people. And like people staying. So that really affected me to answer the question, like in my relationships, the abandonment stuff. And I found myself all through my 20s kind of vacillating between being the cool girl who like didn't want to have emotionally deep relationships and was like, everything was fine. And I would just like date guys casually. I don't think I really had a serious relationship and like a boyfriend longer than like 3 or 4 months until I was in my late 20s. Like I was just really trying to protect my.
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah. And so, but what is and this is what I like coach people on all the time is like, I thought I was protecting myself, but what I was doing was I was unconsciously seeking out emotionally unavailable people who I'd be like, no, everything's cool. Everything's fine. Like, it's not serious. But then I would get my feelings involved after, sleeping together and like, getting to know somebody. And then I would be so confused why they didn't want to treat me the way that I wanted to be treated when all along they were like, yeah, but, you like me because I'm emotionally unavailable. And now all of a sudden you want me to be this guy that like really like,
just be emotionally available for me now.
Just like really care or like, be sweet and kind to me. And then, so I did that all through my 20s. And then a few years ago in my early 30s, I witnessed a really violent murder of my next door neighbor. It was like a very traumatic event. My next door neighbor's adult son. So like my neighbors were older and their adult son had a psychotic break and severe mental health issues and attempted to murder his whole family. And I got caught in the middle of it. And
like you were outside there watching from your house?
So like I lived in a condo and I heard screaming in the hallway and I heard women crying for help, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, like I have to go out there. Like I can't leave, women alone. And it's just, I was at the right place at the right time because clearly I'm here, I'm safe. I was supposed to be there because I did save people's lives. By being.
What does that feel like? The fact that you were able to save someone's lives like that?
Well, now it feels good, but the month
after all the work and the trauma and everything, yeah.
Months afterwards, like it's similar because like Jay had his own version of rock bottom. I had mine. I had PTSD. I had post-traumatic stress disorder. I couldn't sleep at night. I was having panic attacks. I had depression. Like I wasn't myself. And I had to, and that murder triggered a lot of my abandonment issues. Yeah. And it triggered a lot of my not feeling safe, and that people weren't safe, and that I wasn't safe. So I knew I couldn't live like that forever. And so I was single. I just worked on myself, same thing. I worked on myself for like a solid year, where I was like doing anything and everything. I was seeing different therapists. I was trying different healing modalities. I was doing holistic stuff like Reiki and acupuncture and just like sound healing and breath work, like anything I could do that would make me feel grounded and safe again, I was open to. I was open to trying it because anything felt better than where I was at. And through that process, I really learned myself better. I gained self-worth. I learned healthy boundaries. I released this, I'm sure a lot of people who are familiar with relationships, like attachment styles.
Yeah.
Healed a lot of those dynamics. And I say this all the time, like it was divine timing, like when Jay and I met, because I would not have been ready for someone like him. I would not have been.
Me either. Like when we discussed about that, if it was like a year before, 2-3 years before, we wouldn't be able to even have a long distance relationship.
No, no. We would not have been in an emotional or a mental headspace to be able to like pour ourselves into the relationship and to create this, dynamic, this healthy, because a relationship, right? I always say it's like a thing you create between two people.
Mm-hmm.
Take both parts of yourself and you create this thing, and whatever you have on the left resolved within you, that shows up in your relationship. And so I think years prior, the tools that we had weren't going to cut it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you become you see in you how much you worked on yourselves, how much it's like you're a product of all the work they do. And I know that you're not stopping. And so as it continues, like, I'm interested to see like what's in me in 10 years time. Like, I don't know, are you planning on having kids?
Yeah.
And like what that will be. And like, well, you're like attachment issues, like you're now healthy. So hopefully it won't go over into your kids and things like that. It would be really interesting to see. So before we get to our final question, where could Life Fixers connect with you, find out more about you, and work with you?
For me, well, I will clearly take the opportunity to talk about my book. While my book is my life story about all the trauma I had, personal life with my family, and how I overcome them. And it will be to inside a self-development journal with prompts, so people will be able to associate moments I had with my life with some issues they might have with their life. Besides that, I'm an event producer and an actor. Everything related to events, awards, weddings, anything that there's more than 2 people to host and produce, that's me.
More than 2 people. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. I just love people and gathering. So yeah, I'm about to launch a masterclass to help people to professionally connect with right person, or just how to increase your social network to get jobs you would like to, or to achieve a project you might think to. All in the communication and on the online era, how to increase your social network, how to write that first email with someone you don't know, all this kind of stuff. So I'm building this masterclass right now. But besides that, you can follow me on my socials, Jay Chevery, everywhere, Facebook, IG, Twitter, and my event company, Magic Moment, MAJYC moment.com.
Amazing. What about you, Brianna?
And for me, the ways to work with me. So I do one-on-one coaching for people, couples or individuals who feel that they want to dig a little bit deeper. I'm an intuitive healer. So I really can kind of see past maybe what is hidden or what is not right at the surface, that go a little bit deeper than like traditional therapy that does. And I also do group containers. So I have a relationship rehab Mastermind that is anywhere from 3 to 9 months. And it kind of takes you on like the journey of, let's say you're a single person, right? And you really want to get the tools to heal. And then you also need help dating. But then you also, when you get in the relationship, then you need help in the relationship. So There is, like I said, there's a group container that I think is really, really valuable and I've gotten amazing results from, and that is called Relationship Rehab. And that is available on my website, where all of my offers, all of my programs, I'm always dropping new launches and new things that I'm excited to share, things that I have healed from myself. Like right now I have a money course that I like, releasing scarcity around your finances and like in your business, things like that. So on BriannaColette.com is my website, and where I host all of my offers and my programs and things like that. Or you can find me on IG at Brianna.Colette. That's me. And follow along. I do a lot of free sound healings. I'm a sound bath. I'm a sound healer. So I do a lot of those. I offer them on my IG and my IGTV. So if you want to go check out anything, and I also offer a free love sound bath download in my link in my bio. And that's great for couples to really like do a meditation together and really start to open up some conversation about their relationships. Very healing. So go check it out.
So guys, you'll want to do it together with your partner. Okay. So for our final question, one that I ask everyone, how would you describe an extraordinary relationship without using love, connection, and for you, I'm going to make it really hard and put in trust and respect?
I know mine. You want me to give you a second?
Oh, I've got one.
Okay, good.
Magic?
Ooh, I like that answer. Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say play.
Oh.
They work so well together.
Play, just like fun and enjoying each other and the spark and
Love it.
yeah.
Love it.
Ooh, I like that so much. Well, thank you so much, Brianna and Jay. This was fun. You guys are awesome. And I really can't wait to see like what's going to be more for you, what's going to come in the coming years, and see how much more you grow and value pride to everyone.
So great. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
That's all for this episode of Life Picks Relationships, and we have a huge favor to ask of you that will not only support this show, but also give others what they need to take their marriage to the next level. We're striving to have 1 million downloads per episode by December 31st, 2025, so please share it with your family and friends so they can turn their relationship into an extraordinary one.